It's time to rank another BoJack Horseman season, as it has been a while since the last ranking. This time I will share my list of the worst to best episodes of season 3. I really like this season and there aren't any episodes that I outright hate. Still, some episodes are better than others, and by ranking these episodes I can share why I think one is better than the other. Now let's start with number 12. The first episode of season 3 is also my least favorite. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is mostly just there to set up things to come in later episodes. And while it has some funny moments with Mr. Peanut Butter buying tons of spaghetti strainers, the other episodes of this season are just better, which is why it ultimately ends up at the bottom of my list. BoJack Kills is another episode that doesn't do anything bad, but is also not that special. In this episode, BoJack and Diane try to solve a murder mystery while they also have to promote Secretariat, while Princess Carolyn helps Mr. Peanut Butter and Todd to get rid of a skunk stench, the latter of which creates some hilarious moments. And when BoJack and Diane find Curly Whiskers, he gives some great philosophical thoughts. But other than that, this episode is not that rewatchable or as entertaining as episodes higher on this list. In episode 5, BoJack gets to party like a movie star since his movie Secretariat is a success. While they are out enjoying the best of times, they encounter Emily, and Todd and Emily instantly reconnect. Meanwhile, Diane gets caught by accident and ends up taking some gush. And finally, Princess Carolyn goes on 3 dates, with the last one being successful. And it's nice to see her happy. This episode is great as it is filled with hilarious moments that make it very entertaining to watch. The second episode of the season takes us back to 2007. This episode is filled with references to the 2000s, and it's great to see what all the main characters were up to at the time and how Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter got to meet, making for a well-paced and structured episode that is very entertaining if you're interested in the characters of the show. Coming in at number 8 is the 8th episode, where we and Diane finally get to know Mr. Peanut Butter's brother, though he is a bit depressed as he has a twisted spleen, while Princess Carolyn tries to get BoJack 2 movie roles, which ultimately ends up failing, while Rutabaga and Vanessa Gecko celebrate as they save their agency, showing us as the viewer that the main characters of the show are not always entitled to get what they want. In episode 9, BoJack tries to fire Princess Carolyn. Meanwhile, there's also a food critic in a restaurant that adds an additional challenge as the restaurant staff has resigned. While I really didn't like this episode all that much the first time I saw it, I've gone to appreciate this episode for what it is. This time I found the arguments between BoJack and Princess Carolyn much more interesting to follow, and through these conversations we get to know them even more than we already did. After Mr. Peanut Butter announces that BoJack is nominated for an Oscar, BoJack decides to throw a huge party. While all seems to be going well, his friends are parting ways with him, making it even more impactful when Mr. Peanut Butter informs him that he was not nominated. The flashback of how Mr. Peanut Butter and Todd came up with the nominees is hilarious, while the ending leaves a lasting impression as BoJack is totally alone. Next up is Stop the Presses, in which BoJack tries to cancel his LA Gazette subscription, but ends up talking about recent events and getting advice from the customer service rep. The different plot points of this episode weave nicely together, making for a tight episode that is entertaining from start to finish. Brrap Brrap Pew Pew takes off right where episode 5 left off. Diane gets an abortion, which turns into a media sensation when she accidentally tweets about it while on Sextina's Aquafina's Twitter account. This makes for some interesting commentary, and it's nice to see Diane and Princess Carolyn working together, which doesn't happen all that often. The B-plot with BoJack discovering that Anna Spanakopita is not only his agent is definitely less interesting than the main plot, but is still serviceable. So overall, this makes for a very entertaining and memorable episode that is filled with some hilarious moments, making for one of the most rewatchable episodes of the season. In the final episode of the season, we see the aftermath of Sarah Lynn's passing, and finally the spaghetti strainers are being utilized, which results in some much needed light-hearted comedy after the depressing penultimate episode. The ending is easily the highlight, made all the better thanks to stars by Nina Simone. Out of all season finals so far, this episode is without a doubt the best at following up the penultimate episodes, concluding the events of the season, still being filled with light-hearted moments, creating some laughs, setting up things to come for the next season, and ending on a high note that makes you reflect on everything that has happened. I believe that you either love or hate Fish Out of Water, and I am someone who loves it quite a bit. While it is not extremely rewatchable, it is still impressive that we get an engaging episode with almost no dialogue. This is partially thanks to the amazing soundtrack. It's also nice that we get to see the more tender side of BoJack as he tries to get a baby seahorse to his father, and the ending always cracks me up when BoJack realizes he could have talked the entire time with a simple press of a button. Still one of the most memorable episodes of the show, whether you like it or not. In the penultimate episode of season 3, BoJack asks Sarah Lynn to go on a bender with him as he has no one else to rely on. This is unfortunate given that Sarah Lynn has been sober for 9 months. While they are a simple addition, I like the addition of the blackout scenes, further emphasizing that BoJack is out of it, making you as the viewer wonder how much time has really gone by and makes the story more interesting. The main goal of BoJack in this episode is to make amends with all the people he has hurt, and he even travels all the way to New Mexico to see how Penny is doing, which ultimately does more harm than good. The episode ends with the most chilling ending so so far, as BoJack realizes Sarah Lynn is no longer responding. This still gets to me even after having watched it multiple times, which is why there was no doubt in my mind that this episode would claim the number 1 spot. So that was my ranking of the episodes of the 3rd season of BoJack Horseman. Let me know if you agree with my ranking, and if not, how would you rank these episodes? Thank you for watching, bye bye.